Hello and welcome to this review/flight of the Carenado Cessna 172 from Fort Myers Page Field to Boca Raton in Florida. Today I will show you how to properly go from before start to shutdown in this plane. We will also go over some of the pros and cons of this payware aircraft. Looking at the exterior and interior, it is clear Carenado put a lot of time and effort into making this aircraft look as realistic as possible. This is the most true-to-life Cessna 172 I have seen on X-plane. The reflections on the aircraft skin, Garmin G1000 and windows are perfect. The seats are photoreal and the panel is almost exactly as it is in real life. Let's get the engine started and get on our way to Boca Raton. Before start checklist, fuel selector to both, mixture to idle cutoff, open the throttle 1/4 of an inch, test the standby battery looking for any loss of light. With the standby battery on, check the voltages are correct. This is not properly modeled in the Carenado. Now check that the cabin 12-volt off, circuit breakers in, set the parking brake, and put seat belts on. Before start checklist complete. Now we can start the engine. Engine start checklist. Master on. The engine is still warm, so I will skip the engine priming procedure. We are now ready to start the engine. Turn the key and engage the starter. With the prop turning slowly, push mixture full forward until the engine starts. In the Carenado the engine starts way too fast. Set throttle for 1200 RPM and lean the mixture. Leaning in the Carenado is not completely accurate. Engine start checklist complete. We can now start the before taxi checklist. Before taxi checklist, avionics on, check to ensure navigation data is updated. Check your flight instruments. I start from the top and work my way down. Make sure the magnetic compass aligns with the heading indicator on the PFD. Airspeed indicator should not be reading anything. Altimeter should read field elevation. Attitude indicator should show slightly nose high and the VSI should read 0. Reset your fuel. Since we have full tanks, we can insert 53 gallons into the MFD. Once that is done, we can input waypoints we plan to use on our flight. In today's case we are flying from Fort Myers to Boca Raton, so I will input the label VOR then direct to Boca Raton. Once we leave the airspace of RSW we will go direct to Boca Raton. After your avionics and flight plan is set up, we can release the parking brake and call out before taxi checklist complete. I will skip the run-up checklist and go straight into the before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist, once we reach the hold short line, set the parking brake. Our departure briefing would go something like this. Runway 13 is 4,912 feet long. We have a ground roll of 740 feet with an accelerate stop distance of 2,312 feet, so we have plenty of space to come to a stop if we need to. In the case of an emergency on ground, we will maintain directional control and exit the runway. If we have runway left after rotation, we will land on the remaining runway. If we are under 700 feet with no runway left, we will land straight ahead, and if we are above 700 feet we will perform a smooth 180-degree turn and attempt to land on either runway 31 or taxiway Bravo. After takeoff we will pitch for 74 knots. At 500 feet we will turn to the left to avoid the class Charlie of RSW and pitch for 85 knots. Once we level off at 1000 feet we will complete the climb checklist, and after we get out from under the class Charlie airspace we will climb to our cruise altitude of 4000 feet. Any questions? Ensure elevator trim is set for takeoff, flaps set to 0, double check radios, bugs, and instruments. While not modeled in the Carenado, we would also check GPS availability, check standby instruments, and finally ensure autopilot and cabin 12-volt is off, windows and doors are closed and locked, and parking brake is released. Once takeoff clearance is received, complete the before takeoff final items checklist. Never cross the hold short line without completing the final items. Landing, taxi, and strobe lights on, mixture full rich, fuel selector on both, final approach path clear, final items checklist complete. As we enter the runway, verify the runway is correct by matching the compass heading with the painted number. Runway 13 verified cleared for takeoff on 13. Smoothly increase power and input crosswind correction. As the airspeed indicator starts climbing, say, airspeed alive, engine instruments green. At 55 knots, say, 55 rotate, slowly pull the yoke back, it will not take much to get the 172 airborne. Pitch 10 to 12 degrees nose up, this will give us the 74 knot climb we want. After the altimeter reads a climb, say, positive rate. After flying over the end of the runway, we will begin our left turn, and at 500 feet we will pitch down for 85 knots and climb to 1000 feet. After reaching 1000 feet, complete the climb checklist. Flaps up, climb power set, mixture as required, engine instruments checked, climb checklist complete. I will now skip ahead to the start of our climb to cruise after we get out from under the Class C airspace. Now that we can climb to our final cruise altitude, I will use the autopilot to help minimize the workload. Using flight level change allows us to climb at our desired speed of 85 knots. Once we reach 4,000 feet, we will complete the cruise checklist. Now that we are at 4,000 feet, we can complete the cruise checklist. The Carenado does not model the lean assist feature found on the G1000, which is unfortunate, and the loss of RPM from leaning happens much too soon, which is not accurate. In any case, we can still complete the checklist. Cruise power set, trim to relieve control pressure, lean the mixture, monitor the engine instruments and fuel, finally turn off the landing light. Cruise checklist complete. I won't make you all sit through the 45-minute flight across the state, so please enjoy this time lapse. I will see you all when we begin our descent into Boca Raton. Hope the time lapse was nice, but now it's time to land. First things first, we need to get the current weather at Boca, so let's tune in the ATIS frequency. Fun fact, my twin brother is the air traffic controller at Boca. Boca Raton information, India. 1700 Zulu weather. Wind calm, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 20,000 view, temperature 27, dew point -11. Altimeter 3001. Arriving runway 23, departing runway 23. Advise on initial contact, you have India. Continuing with the descent checklist, fuel selector to both, enrichen the mixture slightly, double check the avionics, bugs, and flight instruments, turn on the landing light, turn off the cabin 12 volt, and put seat belts back on. Now that we know what runway they are using at Boca, we can complete our arrival brief. We will plan to enter the pattern at 1,000 feet, and since they are using runway 23, we know we have 6,276 feet of runway to play with, more than enough for our Cessna. We will plan to exit the runway on either taxiway Charlie or Echo. Any questions? Descent checklist complete. Again, I won't make you all watch our descent into Boca, so I will meet you all when we are turning base for 23. Welcome back. We are on base for runway 23 with flaps 10 in, as we slow below 85 knots, call out. 85 flaps 20. We should aim for 70 knots on base and get down to 65 once we turn final and put flaps 30 in. Below 85 flaps 30. Above 300 feet we need to complete the descent final items checklist, fuel selector both, mixture full forward, autopilot off, descent final items complete. We are now ready to land at Boca Raton. 200 feet stabilized, continuing, runway 23 verified, cleared to land runway 23. Most of the braking on a Cessna should be aerodynamic at first. This helps avoid putting the nose wheel into a shimmy. As we approach our runway exit, use the wheel brakes to slow to a safe speed and come to a stop beyond a hold short line to complete the after landing checklist. After landing checklist, elevator trim set to take off, flaps up, landing, taxi, and strobe lights off, lean the mixture, set the ground frequency. After landing checklist complete. After parking, complete the shutdown checklist, park brake set, 1000 RPM, mixture to idle cut off, ignition off, avionics, master, and standby battery off, fuel selector either left or right tanks, shutdown checklist complete. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this somewhat educational look at the Carenado Cessna 172 and its system/procedures. I am an instrument-rated commercial pilot with over 170 hours in this type of Cessna, so I like to think I know what I am talking about, but if you noticed anything wrong in the video, please let me know. I did skip over some checklists for the sake of time. Overall, the Carenado is the best looking and most comprehensive G1000 equipped Cessna on X-plane right now, while some systems like the Lean Assist and GPS availability are missing. The overall modeling of the G1000 is great for people trying to switch from steam to glass. The interior engine sounds are a bit lackluster. After a while the engine sounds like a washing machine. Also, I noticed the autopilot disconnect alarm is not accurate and actually hurts my ears. However, the exterior sounds are excellent, and for what this plane is worth I would recommend it to anyone looking for a step up from the default Cessna 172. Once again, thanks for watching. Blue skies and tailwinds.